Hey crafty friends, it's Lisa, your DIY diva. Have you been so busy getting ready for Christmas that you may have forgotten to do a little bit of decorating? Well, if that's the case, you're in luck because today I've got some last minute decoration ideas that you can make super easy using things you probably already have. So I found this Pottery Barn pot at Goodwill and it was like $12.99, but it was also half off. It still had the original Pottery Barn sticker on it. This was definitely a great find, but I really want to be able to use this for my Christmas decorating this year. So I had some matte finish white spray paint from Rust-Oleum, and I thought this would look really pretty with a fresh coat of paint. It's got a really pretty texture pattern all over it, and that will still show through. So I just did a couple of coats of the matte spray paint all over the vase. I think you can see the texture on it. This is just so pretty. And the fact that it's an authentic Pottery Barn vase, that is just so awesome. I also had this vase that was gifted to me from a very dear friend, and I love the shape of the vase, but I wasn't too crazy about the pattern that was on it. So I also gave that a couple of coats of the same matte finish spray paint. I was able to make over both of these vases, give them a more high-end aesthetic look, and it cost me less than $5. Then all I had to do was style it. So this is the Pottery Barn vase. And these are extra stems and extra pieces that I had in my stash. And I really wanted to make this look like a Pottery Barn style botanical arrangement. And I think I did pretty good. So again, the makeover for both of these vases was less than $5, and I used items that I already had to make this very pretty floral arrangement just in time for Christmas. Next, I found these 12-inch garland ties at Walmart. They were super affordable, and there are 10 pieces in this package. So what I want to do is make those smaller wreaths. I've seen lots of people use the smaller wreaths in their decorating for the holidays, and I thought it would be fun to take these garland ties and try to make it into a wreath. Now, if you wanted to, you could make a super small wreath and have 10 of them, but I decided to take 2 of the garland ties and tie them together into a circle. And I just wrap both sides of the garland around the other piece of garland. And then I just shaped it so that it was in the shape of a wreath. Next, I came back with some different pine pieces that I had cut the individual little stems off of, and I just used a little bit of hot glue to individually glue those tiny pine pieces all the way around the wreath. This is a really great way to use up the little tiny pieces and extra things that you might have left over from your Christmas crafts this year or even from years previous. And I think this is a really good example of why I like to keep all of the little extra pieces, because you can make some really unique pieces that you can use in your decorating for the holidays or any time of year actually. So once I had some of the regular pine glued in place, then I came back with some of these other pine pieces that have more glitter on them. And again, just use them randomly throughout the wreath. Now, I don't know if you have seen the viral videos that are on TikTok and Instagram of how people tie bows, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this and see if this is as easy as they make it look. So I just took 2 plastic spoons and I taped them to my counter. Then I just took the ribbon and wrapped it around the spoons one time. Next, I twisted the ribbon on the back, pulled one piece of it over the top, And then I just tied both pieces of that ribbon together underneath the bow. Now I know I don't make this look near as easy as the people in the other videos do, but I can tell you from doing this, it really does work. Then I just came back with some scissors and cut the tails so that they would be equal to each other. And now I have a beautiful bow for my wreath. Now for these wreaths, I just made 3 of them that I'm going to use in my decorating. So I took the velvet bows that I made and I used some hot glue and I hot glued it to the bottom center portion of the wreath. I made 3 separate wreaths and I just did a bow for each of them. Next, I came back with a little bit more of that velvet ribbon and I put that through the top section of the wreath. So I took 2 of the little wreaths and I put them onto the smaller pantry that I have in my dining room. And I just used a dot of hot glue to keep each of the wreaths in place on the doors. I think this is so pretty. I love how this turned out and I really love how easy it was to make tiny wreaths. Now I had this scrap piece of wood in my garage and I've been meaning to use this for so many different projects. And I finally said, this is the project I'm going to use it for. So I want to take ornaments and turn it into like a 3D Christmas tree. So I'm using a chalk marker and I'm just drawing an outline of a tree onto the wood. It doesn't have to be perfect. Next, I'm going to come back with lots of different ornaments and I'm just going to hot glue them in place. And these are just smaller ornaments that I've had and I've used in the past, but this is a project I've been wanting to do for such a long time. And I thought this is the year I'm going to do it. And I wanted to share with you how easy this is to do. So I just took all of the different ornaments and used a little bit of hot glue to secure each of the ornaments to the Christmas tree portion or the giant triangle portion that I had drawn out onto the wood. And depending on how many ornaments you have, you could do different color patterns or you could do like all gold or green or red. I just wanted to see how many of these ornaments I could use up, and I was actually able to use almost all of them. And having lots of different sizes of the ornaments really makes it fun. Next, I came back with some tumbling tower blocks that I had glued together, and I used them for the base of my Christmas tree. I also had this birch ribbon. I thought it was really pretty, and I thought that would make a nice tree trunk. So I just put that ribbon over top of the tumbling tower blocks. And then I glued it down at the base of my Christmas tree. Now I also had this snowflake garland from Dollar Tree, but one of the snowflakes got damaged. So I thought this would make a really pretty star for the top of my tree. So I used some gold acrylic paint and painted the snowflake. And then I remembered that I had some gold glitter, so I thought, you know what, why not? I'm gonna cover up the snowflake with the gold glitter. So I just put the glitter onto the snowflake while the gold paint was still wet. And look at that, now I have a really sparkly snowflake, which will be the star for my Christmas tree. So I used a little bit more hot glue at the top of the tree, and then I put the snowflake in place. And just like that, I've got a gorgeous, very large Christmas sign. This was really easy to make and it was so much fun, and I am so glad I finally did this project. Now, this is another project that I've wanted to do for so long. I wanted to have a mistletoe ball because if you're under the mistletoe, you're supposed to kiss, right? And I've been collecting these mistletoe stems in preparation for making this project. But because all of the stems that I have are different, I did decide to separate everything so I have lots of individual mistletoe pieces. And for the bottom, I took 2 bells and I just secured them to this ball. This is like a wiffle ball or practice ball for baseball. And having the holes in it makes it really easy to do a project like this. So I do want to have something that I can hang it. So I took some paper covered wire and I made a hanger. The hanger will be for the top of where I'm actually going to hang it from the ceiling. And the paper covered wire works really well for making a hanger like this. Now, once I had the hanger on and the bells for the bottom, then I just randomly started taking the longer pieces of the mistletoe and I stuck them in through the holes of the ball. Then I used a little bit of hot glue and I held them in place while that hot glue dried. I didn't do this for all of the different pieces. I only did this for probably 6 pieces of the larger parts of the mistletoe. Then I came back with the smaller pieces and I hot glued those in place. I don't want to see the plastic baseball, I just want to see the mistletoe. And once I had enough mistletoe covering the ball, then I came back with the white mistletoe berries and I just glued those in place randomly all the way around the sides as well as the bottom and the top of my mistletoe ball. I did come back with little individual berries just to tie everything together. And to finish it off, I had 2 velvet bows and I thought it would look really pretty to use those too. And this is the end result. I know, I always say this, but this was such an easy project, and this is something, again, I've been wanting to make for a very long time. It definitely reminded me of when I was growing up, which is one of the reasons why I really wanted to have this for my Christmas decorating this year. And because all of our ceilings are vaulted, I did decide to hang this on our lower level, just from the top of our stairs. So when you're going down the stairs, if you go under the mistletoe, you have to get a kiss. Now, I found this beautiful frame at Hobby Lobby and it was on clearance because the bottom of the frame was broken. I wanted to have a frame like this, but I wanted it to be gold. But finding a large frame like this is really expensive, so I figured I'm going to try to paint this with some rub and buff. So that's all I did. Wherever the black part of the frame was showing, I just gave it a coat of antique gold rub and buff. And I didn't want my strokes to be even. I want to see a little bit of texture in the frame itself. So there really wasn't any rhyme or reason of how I put the product on. As long as it didn't come in contact with the glass, I was happy. Next, I found a really pretty picture of a Christmas tree that I printed off on my home printer, and then I used the piece of paper that came with the frame and I cut out the Christmas tree so that it will fit into my frame. And once the rub and buff had dried, all I had to do was put the picture of the Christmas tree into the frame. Secure the backing. And now I have a beautiful Christmas tree picture that I can use for my decorating. I saw something very similar to this on Instagram and I loved it so much. I wanted to see if I could create a similar look. And while it may not be exactly like the inspiration that I had, I really love how this turned out. And I can see using this for all of the seasons in my home decorating this year. Now, I found these beautiful chargers at Dollar Tree. I was so excited when I found these. But I wasn't too crazy about the gold glitter. I saw something similar at Pottery Barn and I wanted to see if I could duplicate that look. And I just so happened to have some evergreen spray paint by Rust-Oleum, so I used the spray paint to paint each of the charger plates. But one thing that happened is it wasn't accepting the green paint evenly throughout the chargers. So then I thought maybe I'll come back with some black spray paint, use that, and then put the green on top of it. So I coated each of the chargers with the black spray paint. And unfortunately, it did the exact same thing. It was not accepting the spray paint. But I figured I had come this far, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint all of the chargers with the black spray paint. And that will be the primer coat for each of the chargers. Then I wanted to see if the green would work on top of that, and it did actually work. So I've got like 4 coats of spray paint on that one charger. But I was running out of spray paint and I remembered that I did have some green chalk paint. So I brought the chargers back into my craft room and I painted over each of them with the folk art chalk paint. Now by this time the chargers were accepting the paint very well. So if you want to do a project like this, I would suggest going right to the chalk paint. Just bypass the spray painting because it's actually going to create more work to spray paint it and then come back and paint it with the chalk paint. And once I was done painting each of the chargers, I did let them dry and then I sealed them with a coat of Mod Podge. And this is the finished look. So again, I was going for a Pottery Barn look. So I have my charger and then I have a Dollar Tree white dinner plate. And then I have these pine tree plates that I got from Dollar Tree as well. I love how these turned out. Something so simple, yet so beautiful and elegant, and I got it at the Dollar Tree. Now in my living room, I have a mirror and I wanted to hang something floral over top of it. So I thought for Christmas, I wanted to have a swag. So I have a lot of these different pine pieces left from all of my Christmas crafting. So I thought it would be fun to turn them into a swag that can go over top of the mirror that's in my living room. So I started off by putting some hot glue onto my silicone mat, and then I just started adding in the pine pieces. I want the swag to be full on either side and not have very many stems in the center. So I just kept coming back with the pine pieces and hot gluing them in place. Again, putting a little bit of hot glue into the center and then securing each of the pine stems on either end. I just kept adding more stems until I got the look that I was going for. Then I came back with another red velvet bow that I made using the same technique that I did earlier, and I secured that into the center. So that's going to cover up all of the hot glue that's in the center of my swag. And because I'm going to be hanging this above a mirror, I did come back and add a piece of ribbon to the back that will act as a hanger. And that is pretty much it. I was able to make a beautiful evergreen swag that I can hang over top of my mirror or anywhere else I want in my home. And again, I made it using things that I already had. Hopefully all of these projects showed you don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money to have some new decor pieces for your Christmas decorating this year. You really don't even need a lot of time. You can make all of these projects this weekend and have some updated decor that you can add to this year's decorating along with years to come. I sure hope that you enjoyed crafting with me today as much as I enjoyed sharing these projects with you. And if these Christmas crafts inspired you, be sure to hit that subscribe button because I post new, budget-friendly projects each and every week. And I don't want you to miss out on any of the ideas of the decor that you can add to your home. Remember, crafting isn't about how much money you spend. It's about the love and creativity that you put into each and every project that you make. And until next time, stay crafty and Merry Christmas!